you mentioned a word a few minutes ago, loneliness. So many people, especially guys, because we have that protect and provide mentality. And so a lot of men, and we mentioned my buddy Steve and Navy SEAL mentality, like these are individuals that learn to protect and provide at the highest level. When they have that loneliness though, you know, what do you think what can they do to kind of combat being so productive and so busy but still feeling that loneliness?
One of the things that I believe is what life, there's twofold. If we feel alone on an island, we put ourselves there. We marooned ourselves on that island. The lifeboat's there. There's people sitting in the lifeboat. We just need to go to it and say, hey, I need help. Right. And it's so often I read a story just this morning of a young kid. He's 22, just a couple weeks before his 23rd birthday. A dairy farmer in the Netherlands committed suicide. And he wrote a letter to his family, and it's like, I've been thinking about this for a while, and it's just, this is going to be easier. Right. And I'm sorry. And the reality is we can go on a pretty wide spectrum here, but here's the reality is if we feel alone, it's honestly that we were hiding, that we're afraid of what other people are going to think. We're afraid that we're going to be a burden for them. And it's a reality, and it's tough and it's hard. And there's moments, yeah, I've been there. And what have I had to learn? I've had to learn the only way through is through others. And the idea of loneliness, and again, if we end up in that spot, we've chosen to. And I believe a lot of our loneliness comes from this lie of our insecurities and our fears. If people understood, if they knew what was really happening, if they knew that I was, having an affair, if they knew that I was on the edge of financial ruin, if they knew that I made this massive mistake, if I knew this X, Y, and Z, they would no longer love and appreciate me. And one of the things that's hard is we often know that's not the case. Because your friend coming to you and saying, hey, Scott, am I ever that? Did that make you think massively less of him?
Significantly the opposite.
Exactly. But we constantly live with the things in our head. I'm a person of faith, and I think it's the devil, and he knows how to get after us, which are our fears and insecurities. That's his gameplay. And yet, when we fall into that trap of I'm alone, I can't go to anyone and get help, we've put ourselves in a spot to really suffer. And so part of what you had mentioned is having those people around you to say, hey, who can I go to? Who loves and who appreciates me? But that takes a practice of going there and saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Right before this call, I meet up with a group of guys, and sometimes it's deep, sometimes it's not deep. Today we were talking about our first concert, different bands, how all great music is made seemingly when people are on drugs. Like we talked about that stuff. We also talked about family dynamics. But I also know if I go to that group and open to them, it's like, hey, maybe it's in that setting, or maybe it's with someone else, like talking to them. It's like, as I was talking to one of my buddies yesterday from that group, about the event that I'm hosting here in a few weeks, that I'm trying to get tickets sold. And it's like, it's hard. I don't know. It's just hard. But I know I can go and, there's someone else that does care and believe in me and see what I can't see myself. And so coming back to that loneliness perspective is we can end up there because of our choice in thinking that the things that we have inside of us are too much for someone else.
And it's not true.
One of the things that I found, and this is, I believe, is often how we can get off of an island ourselves is by serving others. I'll go back to the comment about empathy. If I put my arm around you, it takes engagement from you as well. Put your arm around me. And that practice of being vulnerable, being empathetic, of going together makes us both stronger. And I think the greatest thing any one of us can do, and I learned this from John Maxwell, And too often we find this place of, I don't want to take from other people. I feel bad for taking from other people. And the reality is, if you don't, you're telling them that you don't value them. And he displayed this one day. We were at I happened to be at a hotel with him, and there was a bellman that was picking up the bags to put them in the bus. And John, being John, he's like, "Oh, thank you so much." Gives him a massive tip because that's what he does. And here I am, I'm carrying my own bag, and the bellman's like, "No, I got it." I'm like, "Oh." And the lesson I learned there is, if you don't let someone do their job, you're telling them you don't value them. If you don't ask a friend for help, you're telling them you don't value them. You're not taking advantage of them. You're saying, I don't value you. And too often we see that, and I believe it's just a manifestations of our fears and insecurities. If I ask you for help, that you're going to think less of me. And too often, in so many cases, the best thing you can do to tell someone you value them, hey, can you help me? Can you help me out? Can you do something for me? Can you extend an opportunity? It's no different than us in podcasts, right? Can you help me out? Yeah, great. But that expression of value is exchanged. And that all of a sudden, when we get into the practice of it, we realize, oh, loneliness is just imagined.
Yeah, when you look at loneliness, I think that's so true. One of the hardest things is, I've been to several funerals of young men under the age of 25
Mm-hmm.
who have ended their lives way too soon, and everyone in the room wishes that they would have reached out. Then and it's so powerful because, I put my arm around more young men to tell them, I want you to look around. When I've been to these funerals, and they're the worst. They're the
Mm-hmm.
worst. There's nothing worse than a young life gone too soon. And I put my arm around these boys and I say, almost all of them, like, boys, look around. You all need each other. Everybody's valuable. But if someone calls you, just be there for them. And then don't forget, you can call them too. So all you're doing is you're giving that outlet. I also think it's important to understand, we both believe that faith is a foundational, fundamental block to living your life.
Mm-hmm.
And period. For me, life
Yeah.
is, you have to put God first. Here's the key. God is love. When you love somebody, that's also giving of yourself to somebody. When we are lonely, and we are lonely, when we are the loneliest, let's say it that way. When
Yeah.
we are the loneliest in our lives, it's usually because, like you said, we're hiding something. We're holding
Yeah.
something back. We're not giving of ourselves to other people.
Yeah.
And so the first person I always look to lean on is God. Get the strength to move
Yeah.
forward, and then love somebody, help somebody, give something to
Mm-hmm.
someone. That's what you're saying. And
Yeah.
the last point I wrote down was the habit of daily impact. When I'm having my frustrating moments in life, when there's a I use air quotes here for you listeners, a bad day. Um, and there's so few, but there are occasionally days where I
Yeah.
feel, like I'm alone in the world, or I feel
Yeah.
frustrated about something, or I feel like people aren't understanding where I'm coming from, or who I am, or what
Yeah.
I'm trying to accomplish. The secret is the habit of daily impact. It's something I tell myself all the time. It starts with opening the door for somebody. It starts with smiling at them. It starts with complimenting someone. It starts with calling someone tends to be lonely. It starts with this morning on the beach, walking on the beach, and this older man sees our dog. Our dog goes to the bathroom like right in front of him. And so I stop and to flag my wife down, who's coming with the bag on the sand. And the older gentleman stops. And I know that this is going to be a semi-long conversation. I just can tell. And he's super kind. His energy's good. And he's like, I sure wish I had the energy of that dog. And I said, I had a very limited time to walk on the beach this morning and to get my workout in and everything. And I felt myself starting to go there. And
Mm-hmm.
instead, I was like, you know what? Let's just ask him a question. I looked at his hat. He was wearing a Sprinter van hat. I said, do you drive a Sprinter? You have a van? He goes, oh, man, I ran it into the ground a year ago, and I was coming too fast on a turn. He tells me all about it. 10-minute conversation. Great man. Loneliness was something I guarantee you he was feeling when he began that walk
Oh
on the
yeah.
beach. He was not feeling it when my wife and I walked away from him. And if
Mhm.
and I want to make sure we are able to give of ourselves because we'll be that same person walking on the beach and needing that level of attention.
Here's what's interesting as you describe that, and I can understand that personality of like, I got to work out to get to, I got this, right? And you mentioned your friend earlier, who his wife said, not empathetic. That was a practice of empathy. Because all of a sudden, instead of you focusing so much on, I have to get my workout, the reality is, and I know this, we can talk about this, is 10 minutes less in your workout, but that 10-minute conversation did way more for you as a person, mind, body, and soul than if you would have done an extra 10 minutes of whatever exercise.
100%.
Now, that doesn't mean, the other side of it is I'm just going to go talk to everyone on the beach and not work out. Okay, come on. There's a plus and minus. You have to, there is an element doing the work, but it's also understanding one of the greatest things that we can do in our life. And it's hard. And I got to challenge myself at times to, and my wife will bring this up sometimes, Tyler, you'll walk in the house, someone's here and you'll go about your thing and you'll just kind of ignore that they're there. And I'm like, oh, because I want to get this done so I can come visit. It's like, nope. Make them the priority. Make them, and it's like, okay, I have to recondition myself that way just because I can get laser focused and just get done what I need to get done. And that too much in life ends up being that very intense, that very driven, that almost it's all about me. It's not being empathetic. Say, hey, I see you. I see you. I recognize you. I'm going to go do something real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, great. But I don't feel ignored. I feel valued. And it's something I have to work at every day. I probably screw it up at some point today. I'm not discounting that, but I also recognize that in this conversation, yes, when I go out of my way to have a conversation with the guy on the beach like you did, you'd express value to him and automatically you were rewarded because you had the connection and the energy that relation that conversation brought will be more than anything else that you could have done alone. Because we are people that are meant to be with people. We're not meant to be alone.
So YouTube has this cool feature where they pick the next video for you, and it's right here on this screen. So I hope you enjoy this next video.